Hey everyone, it's Tay from the R Anime Podcast, and you know what that means. That's right, today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Sentai Filmworks and HIDIVE. Sentai Filmworks is the premier anime licensing company in North America, bringing over titles like Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon, Chihayafuru, Haikyuu, K-On!, and so much more. Right now, if you go to their shop, you'll see that they're having an amazing holiday sale with sales up to like 70% off. It's crazy. Everything from premium box sets to Blu-rays to shirts to posters. They got it all. Be sure to check them out. They're amazing. And it's also brought to you by HIDIVE, which, as you know, is an awesome, amazing anime streaming service. They have seasonal airings. They even have simuldubs that are going on at the same time. They've got everything from Sword Art Online to Ahiro no Sora to Chihayafuru maybe soon. Let's hope. They have the first 2 seasons at least because, hey, they have an incredible backlog of anime, including the entire Legend of Galactic Heroes series. The old one with all the OVAs and the movies as well. So be sure to check them out. And if you sign up with the link below, that's www.hidive.com/LP/RAP2019, you'll be able to sign up for a whole month of HD streaming anime for free. That's seasonals, simuldubs, and yes, even uncensored anime, all for free for 1 month. So sign up today. And thanks to their amazing generosity, not 1, 2 people will be walking away from this episode with, I think, maybe my favorite giveaway ever. So the Chihayafuru box set from Sentai Filmworks is absolutely gorgeous. I have it myself. It has an amazing collection of cards inside. It has some like tarot cards. It has some of the translated Karota cards, and it has interviews with the director and the voice actress for Chihaya as well. We'll be giving away 2 of those. Retail value like overall $100 for free. All you have to do is like and retweet. Or you know what? You can just retweet it. That's all we want. Just retweet the tweet on our podcast Twitter account. That's at Tokyo Podfathers. That has the link to this episode. Follow us at Tokyo Podfathers, Sentai Filmworks, and HIDIVE. That they're at Sentai Filmworks and HIDIVE Official. And you will be entered to win one of those 2 amazing Blu-ray box sets. But that's not all. If you want another entry into this giveaway, all you have to do is go on to our YouTube channel, subscribe to us, and leave a comment in the Chihayafuru episode about why you love Chihaya, or why you love Taichi, or especially why you love Arata. Or hey, you could just talk about why you love Sentai Filmworks or HIDIVE so much. I could go on for forever, but we've already passed like 2.5 minutes for this intro, so without further ado, take it away, Bex.
Nani wa zu ni sakuya kono hana fuyu go mori ima o harube to sakuya kono hana. Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of the R Anime Podcast. I am your host and reader, Sinrus, and joining me today to talk about one of my favorite shows, Chihayafuru, we have Fate Steel Taylor. How you doing, Tay?
Hey, I'm good. You know, long-time listener, first-time caller. It's good to be it's good to be on the show. Thanks for inviting me on.
My pleasure. It's always good to have you now that you're like a real-ass adult with busy things to do.
Yeah, well, real-ass adult who just spent, like, I calculated it. I think I was on vacation for 36 straight days.
Okay, maybe not a real adult quite yet, but you're getting there.
No, but, you know, the entire time I was there, I was, of course, thinking solely and only about Chihayafuru, so.
Could you really say you were on vacation then? Isn't that your normal day-to-day life?
Yeah, that's true. It's a good day-to-day life then.
It's true. It's true. And also, we have 2 very special guests joining us this time. The first one is Princess Tutu. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Of course. It's always a pleasure. And Coolager.
Hello. Happy to be here. Tay kind of already took my introduction, but long-time listener, first-time caller.
I was going to say, I think this is your first time on. Tutu, we've had you once or twice before, right?
Yep.
Cool. Well, as I mentioned, we're talking about Chihayafuru this episode in anticipation of the 3rd season, which is starting in a couple weeks from our perspective and might be already started by the time this gets edited and released. But this is something that the 4 of us, I'm sure, are all very much looking forward to. So why don't we start just by saying, how did you guys each get introduced to the series? Are you anime-onlys? Are you manga people? If so, which one came first? That kind of thing. Coolager, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, all right. I don't remember how I honestly found Chihayafuru. Like, I watched it, I think 2014 or something. Like, it was after it finished airing, but I heard a lot of things about it, and I was looking for a lot of like current decade shows. I was an anime reader first, and I actually have caught up on the manga because I kind of gave up on there ever being a season 3 because like we went like
you and everybody else
6 years without like any sort of information, and it was such a niche show. I didn't anticipate it, and then when season 3 got announced, I kind of just stopped reading the manga, hoping to see it animated again. But yeah, that'd be my experience.
Oh, so sorry, I thought you. So are you caught up on the manga, or did you stop once the announcement happened?
I have mostly caught up. Like I've passed 200 chapters. I can't remember specifically which chapter I left off on, but I'm around chapter 200, so I'm pretty far in. I might have missed the last couple, but I'm pretty close to caught up.
You're pretty close to it.
Yeah.
Okay. And Tutu, how about you?
I was recommended it just, I think, randomly, like random anime recommendations, and it was like one of the first sports anime that I saw, and one of the ones that made me like fall in love with the genre in general. I, same as Coolager, I started the manga because I didn't think we'd ever get a new season, but I stopped because for me, like, I really missed like the audio experience of like listening to the readers like read out the poems and everything, so it was like really not the same for me, so I kind of held off in the hope we'd get more, and finally we did, so it was fortunate. So yeah, I'm not a manga reader, I'm not caught up or anything like that.
Okay, and Tay, what about you?
So I got into this surprisingly the last among everyone here, I believe.
Really?
Because I started watching it right after New Year's last year, around then. According to Mal, around January 3rd is when I first started watching Chihayafuru. And it was one of those things where, like, I kept putting it off because I knew I would love it. Like, I majored in English in college. It was my second major, and particularly I had a focus on international poetry. And also, I am a huge sports fan, and I also grew up with like shoujo manga and like some josei manga here and there, but mostly like shoujo manga. So like those three things combined, like before I had ever watched any of Chihayafuru, like I knew this would be one of my favorites. How high it would go, I wasn't sure, but like just knowing the premise, I was like, yeah, like poetry, sports, josei anime, like sign me up for this. Also directed by the same director as one of my favorite shows of all time, Cardcaptor Sakura. So like there was literally no way. Yeah.
That's cool.
So it's been fun because everyone's like, oh, like the director, you know, he went so long between, like, Cardcaptor Sakura, the first iteration ended in like 2001, and then Chihayafuru season 2 ended in 2013, I want to say, and then like, you know, he just had to wait, and then like, you know, Cardcaptor Sakura Clear Card came back, and now we have Chihayafuru season 3, so everything's on the up and up for the director now.
Nice. Yeah, for my part, I first watched Chihayafuru relatively early into my serious anime stan phase. So that would have been like early 2017, I think. I don't remember exactly how my attention was brought to the show or why I decided to pick it up. I remember someone on our anime back then had done a watch this post, one of those real long good ones about talking up a show. And something about this one clicked with me. It might have been that Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju had aired recently, which had been my first josei show that I had watched, and that show was amazing, so I was like, oh, I should check out more stuff of this genre. But however it was, I was blown away by how good the first season of this show is. And then I watched the second season. I'm actually not a fan of the second season of the show, believe it or not, which makes it all the more curious even to me why I decided to pick up the manga after that, because picking up the manga after watching an anime is something I almost never do. But for some reason, Chihayafuru is one of the very, very few exceptions. I am all the way caught up with the manga except for maybe like 1 or 2 chapters, and I am so psyched for season 3. I think if we get to the part that I think pretty sure we're going to, I am so excited. This is some of my favorite content I've ever read. It could easily enter one of my top 10 anime lists.
Yeah, I know, like, in multiple other podcasts that we've been on together, you've mentioned that, you know, like, oh, like, if this is really good, it might be, like, the only other anime that gets me to read the manga after the show has ended. And
Right.
we're always like, so Sinrus, like, what anime was that? And you're like, oh, Chihayafuru. And then after a while, you know, we just ask for the hell of it because we know, yes, it is Chihayafuru.
Yeah, right.
But that is something, I think for me, one of the other reasons why I started watching Chihayafuru at all is because I knew then that season 3 was coming. So I've never felt the urge to read the manga because I knew there would be a season 3.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's for people who had watched before then, this was something that was so out of the blue. And like, as much as I love the manga, it's a series that is so heavily improved by the animated format. Just being able to hear the poems read and getting an actual sense of the speed of the reactions elevates the matches so much.
Yeah, for a series like that puts so much emphasis on like hearing the different readers and how they read the cards,
Right.
and noticing those niches. Like, I feel like that, and then also like, let me just recommend the soundtrack for Chihayafuru is also like really excellent. I love the like upbeat, makes you feel good songs that it's full of. So yeah, I think the manga, as far as manga goes, like Chihayafuru is really good quality. Like you can see the quality from manga to anime and how little it feels like they need to add to it, and yet it still feels infinitely better with sound added to it. So I agree with that.
So, are you guys, Tutu, I know you are, but Tane Coolidger, are you big sports show fans in general?
So Chihayafuru is actually the anime that got me into the sports genre.
Okay.
For a while, I'd like most genres of anime, and there's always been like, there was 2 that I couldn't get into, and I think it was mechs and sports anime at the time. And it was something about, I had seen a lot of like Kuroko no Basket clips, and as someone who played real basketball, it was always off-putting how like silly that show looked, and something about it like turned me away from the genre. And so I watched Chihayafuru like not realizing what it was, not knowing too much about it, not knowing it was a sports anime, and I think like getting into the intensity that the show sets and how like all of the competitors, even the opponents, are like genuinely built up characters, and you see like stories collide between them, and I think that kind of set me off on becoming a sports anime fan. So I actually credit a lot of that to Chihayafuru. It was kind of my first sports anime, I guess, similar to Tutu.
For me, I was like the exact opposite because growing up, before I can remember, the only anime I watched when I was like 2 years old were like Korean dubbed mecha and sports anime. So, like the ones marketed at kids, you know, to sell toys and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But are still very good. Or at least, you know, that's what the snobs say. But, so yeah, I mean, like, first of all, if you want to get like more realistic basketball take, I would highly recommend Slam Dunk.
Yes, I've heard that.
Yeah. So I grew up reading sports manga all the time. I read Ice Shield 21, still one of my favorite sports manga of all time. I read Slam Dunk, a bit of Prince of Tennis, but I wasn't a huge fan. I read through Kuroko no Basket while it was publishing, so for like 2 years. So that was a wild ride. And then of course, like once I stopped reading as much manga as I did, I still wanted my sports story fix because I'm a huge sports fan in general. And so like, you know, with Haikyuu, with Free, with like all these other sports anime that are out there, I'd say, yeah, I'm a pretty avid fan, although like obviously there are always more and more that I should be watching. Like I haven't seen the greatest one of all time, which is Keijo. I've heard very good things about that one. But, you know, Chihayafuru to me, like I love Haikyuu. I really love Haikyuu. But of the anime I've seen, it is really tough to try and compare something like Haikyuu or like another sports anime with Chihayafuru, because I feel like what Chihayafuru tries to accomplish through its sports is kind of different than, say, what a Haikyuu or a Kuroko or a Yoa Pedal tries to accomplish.
Do you think you can elaborate on that? I'm curious what you mean.
Right, so like, I mean, in many aspects, it is the same, right? Because there's like the ultimate goal, there's the tournament, someone wants to go pro in something, someone wants to be the best in something, there's the whole team aspect of it. But I guess in kind of the way there's the presentation, there is something different. And it's almost kind of weird too, because in a lot of sports anime, you have like the manager girlfriend on the side, or like the girl who's like, oh, I really like this character, but I'll have like very little character development as this progresses and just be solely like the person who has like a romantic interest in the main character.
The shonen protagonist girlfriend.
Yes, exactly. Like to anyone who's seen Daya, it's like the one manager you know the one I'm talking about, right? The one manager who's like has one line a season, and the only line like per season is for her to be like, man, like Sawamura, who's like the main character, she's like, Sawamura's so cool, and like that's it, that's all she gets. She's like the one female character,
right? Or like the her name is escaping me right now, but the blonde girl in Haikyuu.
Oh yeah,
Yachi.
Okay,
Yeah,
Yachi is great. Yachi is great though. Yachi, I think, but like Yachi, as much as I do like her, I feel like she's actually one of the better examples of that, because she has like a character arc to her a bit, and she's like well developed.
I'm not meaning to be putting down Yachi, but like that kind of figure.
Right. Her role also in the plot is to, you know, really show us what the volleyball team looks like from an outsider point of view as well. But Chihayafuru doesn't. I mean, if it does have that, it's like Arata. Arata's the best shonen protagonist girlfriend. Don't at me. But while like the sports stuff is really important, like it's really important to Chihaya, and so she takes on like the male protagonist role in a shonen, like shonen sports manga. And meanwhile, Taichi's like the girl who's like, oh, if only she would notice me. Like, I'm doing all this stuff to just notice me. I'm not gonna do it, like confess my feelings until it's the right time. That kind of thing. But even though like there are some aspects to it, right? And like obviously, you know, joking, memeing a little bit, but I felt like with Chihayafuru, the relationships are actually incredibly important to the motivations of all the three main characters. I'm going to count Arata as a main character for the sake of argument, even though I know
he's a main character in spirit, if not in screen time.
But yeah, with those three main characters, like the relationship between the three of them is so important. And as much as it is hype driven, as much as it is plot driven, it's also like emotionally, even romantically, even if it is one-sided. Or is it two-sided? And because there's the triangle, but it's like there's the Arata, there's the Taichi, but Chihaya is just Karuta. And so yeah, it's a little, so like it takes aspects and it has a lot of things in common with Haikyuu, but like whereas Haikyuu I think really focuses on the bonds between all of the team members and like trying to achieve your goals and all that, and like Chihayafuru has that in spades. I think Chihayafuru also has like the romantic aspect to it. It also has like the daily life aspect to it that I really like.
Yeah, I think that's a big distinction for me that elevates Chihayafuru above a lot of other sports shows that I've seen, is that a lot of the time in the genre, it seems like the sport is literally the only thing that exists in this world. Like, none of the characters in Haikyuu care about anything but volleyball. And I'm just picking on Haikyuu because it's like the go-to example of like the most popular sports show. I am a huge Haikyuu fan, don't get me wrong, but it just serves as like a good foil because it's one that everybody knows. So that disclaimer aside, like Haikyuu is just like all volleyball all the time. That's all anybody ever talks about. That's all anybody in the show cares about. That's it. That's the beginning and end of the series. Whereas in Chihayafuru, the Karuta is the main action around which everything centers, but there's as much, if not more, time devoted to things that are not related to Karuta as there are to playing the game itself. And even Chihaya, who's like, main characterization is that she's the one who cares about Karuta to the exclusion of everything else. That's not just like shown as a reason for her to never deal with anything but the game. It's something that creates conflict in the series because these other things are happening and she's not paying attention to them, and that's bad for her emotionally or for her future and stuff like that. It's a really, I want to say, more comprehensive look at what it's actually like to be so invested in an activity like this that I don't feel like you get in a lot of other shows.
Yeah.
It's similar to Euphonium in that kind of sense too, if anyone's seen.
Yeah, I think that's a decent comparison.
Especially the relationship between Chihaya and her older sister. And then like the way her father treats her, like sees them in like the photo album scene, the news clipping album scene, like that to me I really, really loved, and it really grounded the series for me. And like it is kind of ridiculous, right? Like competitive Karuta does not look like this. It is incredibly intense to see, and there's full matches. The Meijin and Queen matches are on YouTube every year. But it's nothing quite like this. But like even so, like those moments, the family moments, really ground it all for me.
Tutu, do you have any thoughts on this subject about how Chihayafuru is similar or different to your typical sports show?
I mean, for me, like, Chihaya's extra special because it combines, like, the sports hype and then also another thing that I really love, which is, like, history and literature. So I really love that added element to it. And obviously the visuals of the show are, like, so different from your normal kind of sports anime as well. Like, everything's so pretty and, like, all the traditional kind of like art. I love looking at it and like the outfits they wear. And there's like so many, it's just like sports anime but beautiful and cultural, and like, yeah, it feels like there's lots of Japanese culture things involved in it. So it's just, there's so much that makes it an extra special sports show for me, which I just love. And like what you guys were saying, I just feel like the emotional aspect outside of the actual matches is so amazing, and just makes like the matches even more hype, because it's, you know what it means for the characters. And I feel like even though that there's a team, I feel like I'm rooting for individuals as well, which I couldn't say the same perhaps for like Kuroko or Haikyuu. I feel like I'm rooting for the team.
You did root for Teppei?
I did, well, yeah, it's true, I did. But
what?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to get behind that team, to be honest. But I just think about, it's got that aspect of it where there's team matches and individual, which is, I think,
so you see the members of
the
team have to play against each other frequently.
Exactly, yes. So those matchups are so fun.
Right.
You can kind of head-to-heads to see, like, those sorts of things. And also I just love the fact that you can have like mixed gender teams as well. I think that's another great thing about it, rather than like boys volleyball or girls baseball. There's like not really so much gender boundaries involved. And so I think when everyone's asking like, oh, when is there going to be, a good female driven sports show, I always think, well, there's Chihaya. Chihayafuru is it is mixed obviously, but I think that's like one of the best out there that has like strong female characters who are really competitive, because I feel like they kind of, from what I've experienced anyway, because I pick up most of the seasonals that are sports related, is that boys sports anime can be really competitive and high level, but sports anime involving girls are going to be more about slice of life aspect and making friends, and like it doesn't matter if we win as long as like we were a team and we had made good memories together. So I feel like sports anime with like really competitive girls is really quite rare, and I think Chihayafuru is the best example that I've seen.
That's a really good point.
Did you by any chance watch Cinderella 9 last season?
I did. Yes. Yikes.
Ooh, that was a big yikes. When you started describing like that, I was like, that is oddly specific given that Cinderella 9 just
Yeah.
Is that what was on your mind?
Well, most of the girls' ones I've seen so far, I pick up all this Aaron sports shows, and yeah, that's been the most recent one. But these things come along like every so often, and I'm just like, no, not another one. So, because obviously, and it's sad because I feel like the most. I basically, I'm really, really, really wanting like a really hype competitive girls team sports show. Like that's what I would love to see in the future. And I feel like the most recent thing we had that you could say similar to that was like Hanibado, which was so awful. But
I actually thought Haruka Receive kind of had that too, with like I'm not saying that it was a good show, but the competitive aspect and like wanting to be the best in Japan, kind of feel.
That's how I felt about Hanebado too. I thought as bad as 90% of the show was, the actual matches themselves were usually really
exactly.
cool. Yeah.
So if it's a shame that like it was really kind of by the end was weighed down by the dramatic aspects.
Yeah.
It's that kind of vibe like what you see with the matches and like how competitive these girls are and like also what level they're playing at as well.
Yeah.
Because I feel that's rare because you know Haruka Receive the girls are just beginners and stuff, so it's really nice to see like them be on the highest of levels. I really enjoy that as well.
Which kind of made the end of Haruka Receive even worse to me from a plot perspective. But
yeah.
That leads into a couple of other things that I love about Chihayafuru as well. First off, real quick, early on you mentioned the like history and literature aspect of it, which doesn't play a huge role in the series, but I really appreciate how early on when Chihaya is first trying to recruit Kana into the club, and Kana rebuffs her at first, saying like, okay, it's cool that you're into this game that uses the poetry I like, but do you even look at the poems? Have you like literally ever even just read one of them?
I was like, no, why would I do that?
There's more lines than 2, what?
Yeah, right.
Also, I'm not convinced Chihaya knows how to read, so...
Yeah, right. But then also the level of competition that they play at. I think the lens of karate, as opposed to any other sport, lets them take a really comprehensive view of the whole sport in general, because with most sports shows, with a few exceptions, you just get like high school sports club.
Yeah, so true.
And with Chihayafuru, because karate is such a small insular community at professional levels, you get, as the series goes on, more and more of a look into like the entirety of karate in Japan. And as we all know, being the best in Japan makes you the best in the world.
Wait, what? I had no idea, Sinrus. You'd think they would mention that like once.
Right.
Twice.
So there's a really
17 times.
There's a really seamless transition from I want to start a karate club in my high school to I'm playing karate among like the top level players in the entire world. Like the highest level of competition is right there adjacent to the main action of the show. And that becomes more and more true as the series goes on into the manga, of course. And a lot of the stuff that I think really sets Chihayafuru apart is stuff we'll be getting to in season 3. It's stuff like more of a direct look into adult players and the real professional world and what goes on there.
Well,
and
spoils.
Without spoiling anything that actually happens in it, although it's rising up inside me the urge to do so.
Please don't.
I won't,
don't.
I promise.
I don't want to be spoiled on Chihaya's and Arata's wedding until I see it firsthand.
But like the professional level, and then also the idea, something that you can already start seeing in Chihaya by the second season of the anime, but that continues to grow more and more, is that because karate is such a small insular community, and it doesn't have a huge following or anything like that, the idea that even if you are the best in the world at it, there's not really a future to that. And like you can have these characters like Chihaya and Shinobu who are like really good at karate. They're in the running for being like the best players in the world, and it's all they care about, but like that's not enough. And that's a major point of conflict, is that they need to find some way to reconcile that or parlay that love for the game into something more in life.
I really do love the fact that they show that they have both, though, that they have like the things we all love about like the high school competitions, and that they have the tournaments and stuff, but you also get to see like Taichi going off to do like his trying to do like the B rank tournaments to like try and rank up, or like you get to see him like playing people who are much older than him.
Right.
And Chihaya learned some of the most important lessons when she played against that old grandma.
Yeah, right.
In that one tournament.
In the Queen qualifiers, right? Yeah.
And so like with all that in mind, like it is really cool to see the dichotomy, because like someone like, you know, Kana or Sutomu, however we want to call it. You know, it reads a lot better in subs than it does being spoken.
Yeah, it's true.
Komano. Like you don't really imagine them too much going to like these qualifiers, and maybe they'll go from like like, you know, they had that one tournament to get them up a rank, the final, but like you're not really going to see them going to like the Meijin qualifiers or the Queen qualifiers. But like the fact that we have those, but we also have like the team tournament aspects, is something I really like.
Yeah, that's creates some great moments too, of the disparity in level between just the members of their own club. Like the scenes where Komano kind of confronts Chihaya and is like, you don't actually care about the rest of us playing the game. We're just here to fill out the roster so that you get a chance to play.
Yeah. I also love the fact where like he takes when he like confronts her and takes a couple cards off her, and he's like, you have a problem with this, you're gonna go for this, you make this mistake. It's like, I know exactly how to play you because I'm taking all these notes. Like,
yeah. And it's so great how even though like they are very clear that he's not a top level player, he never will be, he still like has his measures of success and is able to find like another way to fit into the structure of the team.
Yeah. Who is there so maybe both including and not including Chihaya, who are your guys' favorite members of the Misuzawa team?
I think I kind of like, you talked earlier about how Yachi in Haikyuu is kind of included as like a viewer's perspective, like doesn't know much about volleyball getting introduced. But I know in Chihayafuru, that role actually goes to a couple players on the team instead of like outsiders in Kanada and Deskun. And I like both of them because I feel like you get to see various like that there's different kinds of love for karate, like as you talked about earlier when she's trying to recruit Kanade, and Kanade appreciates more of like the actual poetry and the artistic side of it. So there's like different reasons to love karate. It's not all about like competitive and being the best. And so I think those two are my favorite characters, partially just because I love them together, but also like I like them both as characters. I like to see that there are lower levels that we get to watch in addition to like the peak levels of the A rank players, Chihaya and Nishida and whoever else.
Yeah, I think it's hard for me to list them now because like my perception of the characters is so colored by what happens in the manga, and like all of my favorite moments of the series are stuff that hasn't happened yet in the anime.
Wait, but isn't it black and white? So how could your moments be colored?
You know how Chihaya can hear colors? I can see colors in the manga. I have special eyes.
You know, Sinrus, most people can see colors. That's actually how most people experience colors. But fair enough. Good point. Good point.
Yeah. It's hard to choose though. I really like Dr. Harada. If I'm looking for people outside of the team, Dr. Harada is one of my favorites. Pseudo is another one of my favorites.
Pseudo is great.
Pseudo is one of my favorite sports antagonists ever.
That's high praise.
Yeah, they both will get some really good content coming up.
Wow, spoilers.
I'm not sure if Pseudo will be in this season or not, but
wow, spoilers.
Yeah. Taichi is the best though. Taichi is the best character.
Oh, finally. I was
I'm
like,
just throwing it down on the table there. We've beaten around the bush long enough. Taichi's the best. Tutu agrees with me. Coolager,
course.
I'm sure you agree with me as well.
Between Taichi and Arata, yeah, I'm Team Taichi.
between everyone.
Bye.
And now,
Goodbye,
Taylor,
everyone.
I have sprung my
leaving.
trap upon you and brought you onto a podcast with 3 members of Team Taichi, so that you can't get a word in edgeways.
It's actually not that surprising because usually it's just like me versus like 100,000 people, all of whom are Team Taichi.
I mean, it's kind of hard to like a character who doesn't exist much, so
Yeah.
Oh my, okay. I'm out of, okay. Arata is there in Chihaya's heart always. He's the reason why Chihaya is so passionate about Karta. Like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe you guys. Arata is the best character by far. Also, can we just talk about how like stacked the voice acting cast is for Chihayafuru as
Amazing.
well?
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, because I was just like, because I'm looking through the character list on my enemy list, right? And I'm just like, holy crap! Like, it makes sense that a show that relies so much on voice, voices are so important and like clarity of tone and all that would be so important. But like, this is so like. It also hurts because I love Taichi. I think Taichi's a fantastic character and I really like him. I just love Arata more. But like, who would guess that this is Miyano? Like, this is maybe my favorite. Like this and like Okabe to me are like.
This is the quietest Miyano of all time.
yeah, kind of.
I wish he
such
would
like
do more roles like this because this is like my favorite type. I mean, I don't really like his over-the-top voice much at all, and also it's quite played out. And I just love. I'm so excited to hear him as Taichi again because it's such a nice voice.
Like this versus Zombieland as the producer, right? Right? Like it's so, but like he brings so much nuance and subtlety, and like his words are like dripping with honey, and it's like very beautiful to hear him like speak, especially like the moments where he has to do the reading, like he volunteers to read.
Oh yeah.
When he does the reading with his eyes closed and just goes through the entire deck. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Tutu,
Amazing.
are you gonna need a moment?
I had the same reaction. I just didn't say it out loud.
And then like you have Ai Kayano as Kana, which is like absolutely insane.
Yeah, she's so sweet.
And then Hosoya, my favorite. Oh my gosh,
Thanks.
Hosoya as Hosoya with the accent as Arata. Like that, Chihayafuru is really pandering to like all the people who love Seiyu and like what they bring.
True.
Have any of you guys watched the dub?
No.
No.
When I rewatched it last year in preparation for season 3 before it got postponed, I watched it dubbed out of curiosity. It's not bad, but Arata's accent is so horrible. Especially young Arata, he has the most atrocious, like, southern U.S. drawl I've ever heard. It's really, really funny. I strongly recommend checking out, like, the 2nd or 3rd episode in the dub just to laugh at his voice.
Oh my gosh. Wait, did you know that you can watch the dub of Chihayafuru on the streaming service HIDIVE?
I did know that. That's where I watched it.
Oh yeah, it's pretty great. So yeah, you guys should check out HIDIVE and can. Good friends of the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, oh my gosh, that's pretty funny. There's like Hosoya doing the, like, I love Hosoya. Like he's probably my favorite he is my favorite male voice actor. And like, it's such a good role for him. Like it's just such like a quiet, confident, especially like quiet, confident, like super hot role. And like the accent just like gives it a little bit of like, I don't know, like flavor to it.
It makes it a little spicy.
Ooh, now are we sexualizing Hosoya's voice? Because I'm here for that if we are, but I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. And speaking of like the voice actors, like, do you guys know how Chihaya's voice actress was chosen?
I know you've told me before, but I do not remember.
So, fun fact, if you get the season 2, I think it's the limited edition version, like Blu-ray from Sentai Filmworks, it'll come with a little booklet that has like all sorts of awesome things. Like it has like the character designs, it has the character designers' notes for each character designs, it has things from every episode, it has background art collections, and most of all, it also has a joint interview with the director and Chihaya's voice actress. And they talk about how Chihaya's voice actress didn't actually go audition in person for Chihaya. They held auditions, but she wasn't there. She, I guess, just did an audition. And then the producer for the show from Nippon TV was just like walking down the street or like walking in the building and like bumps into Chihaya's voice actress, who's like running around, like just got out of her club activity from high school and it's like in a rush. She's super late. She's in her school she's in her like club uniform, and she's got like a giant sports bag with her, and she was like on the way to audition for a different role. And like the producer like sees her just like running around like drenched in sweat on a super hot summer day with like this giant sports bag, and he's like, he like stopped her and is like, have you tried out for Chihaya? And she's like, no. And he was like, well, you're going to send in a tape today because we need you to audition.
That's really funny on a number of levels. It's like the classic trope of like, you see the perfect actor on the street and you stop them and you're like, you have to be in my thing. Except in this case it's for a voice acting role, and how the hell would you know?
Yeah. I guess he was just like, at the worst, she knows what it's like to be in a sports club in high school, so maybe she can sound kind of realistic. But yeah, like Chihaya's voice actress was actually in high school when she was recording this, which seems insane to me.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
It does such a phenomenal job. Like, holy crap.
I would imagine that would make it one of her earlier roles then, which is another.
Yeah, what else has she...
That's a good question.
The name doesn't really ring any bell. Oh, she's done a bit of aikatsu work. She was like the younger version, like the kid version of the weird like studious dude from... Oh no, like the bro dude from Anohana. She hasn't really... Oh, she's Yui in Haikyuu. Yeah. So she's kind of got she's double dipping a bit, I guess, between Haikyuu and Chihayafuru.
Yui is good. Definitely the best girl of that show.
She's Mai in Bunny Girl. That is... I would not have put the two together, actually. I guess maybe because like I would never in a million years associate Bunny Girl with Chihayafuru.
Yeah.
So
Fair.
It wouldn't like but interesting. I don't know. Do you guys like Chihaya as a main character for this show?
I don't want to say no, because that's not true. But I feel like I can't But I feel like I can't really say, like, oh yeah, I love Chihaya either.
Exact same.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely, like, sets the tone for the show in how it's a different feeling sports anime. And I do like her character. I can't say I love her character, but, like, I like her for what role she plays and what she is in the anime. She's the Karata nut.
Yeah.
She kind of drives the whole force, drives the whole show.
I really like her story more than I like her personality, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Same.
For me, it's like, you guys know that one meme where it's like, yes, I am attracted to dumb idiots.
Oh no.
And like Chihaya's like the poster girl for that. But I really love the passion she displays for it, and like she's one of my favorite characters actually. See, maybe it's for the enlightened of us who love Chihaya, who also love Arata. Maybe that's what it is.
We just don't understand Chihaya well enough to know that Arata is perfect for her.
To be fair, you have to have a very high IQ. But yeah, like, for me, like, I don't know. I guess it's in the same way I love the same kind of characters in, like, other sports anime. Like, I really like Hinata in Haikyuu. I really like Sena in iShield 21. Kuroko, who would be the more... Because obviously it's not Kuroko, but would Kagami be more aligned with Chihaya, I guess?
Yeah.
But, like, I really like Chihaya in the sense that, like, I love the absolute passion she has and, like, the absolute single-minded determination and, like, her willingness to, like, push everything to the side just for the sake of being the best in the world at Karuta.
Who's your favorite in ping pong?
So, I don't remember ping pong well enough because I wasn't like the biggest fan of it when I was watching it.
Oh my god.
But the main guy.
Thank you, Tutu. I feel the same.
I didn't want to voice that out loud on podcast. Where now it's on the record. I probably should rewatch ping pong. I think when I was watching it, it was just like in a weird place. It was my first Yuasa. I wasn't really prepared for it. And literally,
that's fair. Yeah.
The only people, like the people I was talking to with, consistently harped on like, oh my gosh, isn't this a genius piece of work? This is so unprecedented. This is like the most brilliant anime of all time. Holy crap, do you see the symbolism here, and here? I'm like, yes, I understand what the butterfly means. His name was Butterfly Joe. Like, but I liked the main character a lot, the guy with glasses.
Smile,
yeah.
Smile. Yeah, he was probably my favorite. Him and the Chinese guy.
China?
Kong.
Look, I just want to point out how deep and thorough the naming system was for these characters. But yeah, I like China too. But
okay.
Yeah, for ping pong.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah.
That doesn't really feel like it fits the same mode as the other shows as you were describing.
No.
But, yeah.
Right. But like, yeah, just like, I don't know. There's just that drive that I really like. And I think part of it is like personal too. Because like when I get really wrapped up into something, that's how I am. I'm just like this single-minded pursuit of like nothing but this one thing. Like this obsessive tendency, which is good in a sense, right? Because like, you know, motivation to want to do really well in that thing, but also like not like at the
it's
cost
not
of
always
what?
healthy. Yeah,
exactly. And I liked how like they kind of address that too, and like they kind of play it off as jokes, the fact that like Chihaya just like passes out sometimes, which is definitely not healthy at all. Holy shit, that is like a huge health risk to be passing out that often. But yeah, no, like I really like Chihaya in that sense, and I really like Arata. And like Taichi is so cute, so beautiful, so wonderful. So I really want Taichi to be so heartbroken. It would be so beautifully sad. It would be like the saddest thing, like, because it like Taichi's so popular, I don't think it would happen, and I think the end game is eventually Chihaya Taichi. But imagine if it wasn't. Like, I love seeing like the heartbreak, like sadness.
Chihaya Arata is really popular in Japan.
Yeah,
with,
Arata
like,
is the most popular in
base.
Japan.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I wouldn't, count him out because
wait, is Arata actually more? Is Arata more popular in Japan?
Yep.
Yeah, he's really popular.
I was thinking that, And like talking with a couple of the friends who I've introduced to Chihayafuru, it does seem like a lot of people with like East Asian backgrounds lean more towards Arata than Taichi, and a lot more of the Western base, or my Western friends, lean more towards Taichi over Arata. So I wonder if there's like a cultural thing there.
Maybe we just don't understand the charm of a Fukui accent. Maybe we're just so uncultured, like...
Some people are like, oh, I want you to meet like a nice Italian boy or like a nice Jewish boy. But for us, we're raised like, I hope you meet a nice Fukui boy.
Cute.
This is truly the Rei versus Asuka of our time.
Yes.
Oh,
but better.
Interesting. Yes, because that's like no contest. I guess this is also no... It's not as much of... Because like, Rei Asuka... That's for the Eva pod.
Yeah.
Right. I was just saying it's the same deal where, like, in the West, Asuka's way, way more popular, but in Japan, Rei is...
That is a really good point. That is a really good point.
And I think that it's not obviously not a one-to-one comparison between Rei, Asuka, and Arata Taichi, but I think there's a similar sort of character archetype you could point to with, like, the quiet one versus the more emotional one.
Oh my gosh, but like, you can't tell me when like Arata like smiles at Chihaya like during his match against Shinobu in season 2, and like, oh my gosh, if that doesn't get your heart all aflutter.
It's pretty good. I really love Arata's relationship with his grandfather and how that remains like a driving point of his story and his development. I think that's executed really, really well. That's probably my favorite thing about him.
Not his Fukui accent, or like besides his Fukui accent?
Besides the accent, of course.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of like parent-character relationships in this between what's Taichi and his mother wanting him to like only jump into things that he can actually persevere at. There's some interesting dynamics with Shinomiya and her grandmother, I think it is. Which goes into a lot more detail in the manga, and I'm not going to spoil any of that, but like,
wow,
that stuff gets interesting.
Shinobu's arc in the manga is so interesting. It's like nothing I've ever seen in any other show before, the kind of like development and conflict that she has. But yeah, look forward to that. That's probably season 4 stuff.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
if it ever happens,
so do you think there's a season 4 in the cards? Because my assumption, my assumption is that because the manga feels like it's wrapping up, in the not too distant future, is why they resurrected the anime. So do you think that makes it a natural progression then to a season 4 and maybe a season 5, depending on how much longer it goes?
I feel like there's enough content for 5 seasons if it goes to that.
All of them being 2 core, or?
Yeah, because I think the anime ends at around chapter 90, and we're past 200, so there's at least enough for another 2 seasons, and it's still going.
But it is definitely
I really
like
hope that there's a
done.
season 4, because I think some of my favorite parts of the manga so far are definitely season 4 stuff, and so I am hoping for one. I really think it's kind of a wait and see how season 3 thing, because like I didn't even think we were getting a season 3. Like this is a pretty niche show, and I understand why it took so long. But I'm hoping like with the manga ending that's kind of enough motivation for Madhouse to like finish off the adaptation of Chihayafuru, because it's done a very good job of like adapting the source material so far.
Right.
And I would love to see them finish that.
I just want to see Taichi and Chihaya be together.
However many seasons it takes.
I know.
Tutu, you might be waiting a long while, because I don't know if you remember the last couple lines from season 2, but Chihaya clearly says she will always love Karuta, and she will always love Arata.
No.
just for context, after I saw that episode, I sent that screenshot to Tutu like once a week for a couple of months.
Horrible.
Damn.
I mean, that's why I didn't rate season 2 a 9. Because of that.
Because of that line.
Yeah.
That single line just threw the whole
Yeah.
out. Yep.
See, that single line made me also not give it a 9. It made me give it a 10. So
For a number of reasons, after I gave season 1 an 8, I gave season 2 a 5.
Damn.
are you allowed to be
what?
hosting this
I was just
episode?
thinking this.
I just think the pacing in season 2 was really terrible. After like the first season covers an entire year, and then season 2 covers like a single tournament.
I think the pacing in this podcast is pretty terrible, if you ask me.
But yeah,
Oh my
it
gosh.
really do be like that.
It really do be like that sometimes.
I feel like season 2 focused a little bit more on the actual matches
Yes.
too. Like I remember there was a lot of matches that take multiple episodes.
Yeah, and I didn't
and
love that.
I kind of like it had more of a. I think season 2 was more of a sports anime, where season 1 felt a little bit more like drama romance focus first or
Right.
second. But I think the intensity made it easier for me to marathon.
For
Like
sure.
I think if you were watching it weekly, I could understand. But
yeah.
I remember I watched season 2, and I think I finished 20 episodes in one day. in one sitting.
Yep, sounds about right.
Yeah.
Also, season 2 had more Arata, so obviously it's going to be better. So, like, normally I would agree with you, Sinrus, that like the longer episodes for each match is usually a bore. Like, Daya has the same problem too, where like they will throw like 6 pitches in one episode. Like, it's not even a half an inning. It's literally like, oh, the count is 3-2, and he just fouled it off, and end of episode.
This is why there's over 200 episodes, because it takes that long.
But I'm not gonna complain, because like if we would have only gotten like maybe 1 episode of Arata, but instead they extended that match to like 3, like,
Yeah, I think another aspect of why that bothered me so much is because when the new first years join the club, they both suck.
Oh,
They do.
because
that's so true.
because no time goes by in season 2. There's no chance for them to develop, so they just suck the whole season. Now the girl of them at least does end up being a character I very much appreciate later on, but
Wow, spoilers.
just within the span of that season, oh my god, she was miserable.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. To me, it was a lot like One Piece in a way, and this is for anyone who's like read One Piece, but like I got so attached to like the original Straw Hat crew that once they started like adding a couple more characters and a couple more like
Wow,
people to the crew.
spoilers.
Yeah, sorry. the pirate crew gets a little bigger later on. I was like, man, like it feels weird that we have like this extra dynamic. And that
Yeah.
kind of popped up in the same way with Chihayafuru that it didn't in Haikyuu with Yachi. Like when Yachi joined, I guess because she had so little interactions with anyone else,
Yeah.
that, like for better or for worse, that it didn't really alter the group dynamic.
Yeah.
Like we still had that I guess except for like she didn't even like affect the Hinata Kakeyama scene in season 2. Yeah, even though she was like
That's a
clearly
good point.
there
Now
for
that you
it.
bring that up, she like never talks to anybody but Hinata in the whole
mean,
show.
No, to be honest though, in Haikyuu's defense, I feel like she made me like Kyoko more because they have interactions, and Kyoko had
That's true. That's a good point.
right.
That's
so
true. That's a very good
I
point.
feel like they managed to flesh out each other really nicely. So, but back to Chihaya.
Yeah, no, that is a good point. But because like Chihaya, in a sense, is really trying to integrate the characters the first years, and like I think that is something that is like very awesome that they're doing. But because they're trying to do that, like we are forced to sit through these 2 new characters, very unlikable characters, get to know and like react with everyone else on the team. Like, oh my god, I fucking hate this guy. I forget his name, but when he like tries to erase what's his the name and like insert his own name at the tournament.
Tsukuba?
Yeah, yo, I like almost dropped the show right then. I was so pissed at him. Like, just like out of spite, I was like, I ain't watching any show with this guy in it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. Tsukuba sucks.
the actual worst. Like, how can you have the actual best in Arta and like the actual second best in Taichi and have like the actual worst in this guy in the same show? The worst. What would you guys have thought if they hadn't included those characters and they just like decided to run it back with the same characters?
I mean, I definitely would have liked that in the moment. It definitely would have created like long-term problems for the series, though. Of course. So it's a good thing that they do exist, and they do get better later on. They don't stay completely miserable forever.
So you wouldn't want Thanos to snap them? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I would let them live.
Thanks, Thanos.
Whenever I'm watching like a sports anime or something that I know is like has already established that is something that I enjoy, and then it introduces new team members who I tend to not like, I'm always expecting some sort of big development from them later on. Like, I'm always like, okay, they're clearly starting them at the bottom for something, and something over time is going to make me like this character. Similar to how like Tsukishima started off really miserable, no one liked him in season 1, and now he's like...
Is this a Haikyuu podcast?
It's just the first comparison that came
Yeah,
to
right.
mind.
Like, it's a good foil for comparison.
Right.
Every opportunity mention Haikyuu.
Because I'm also incredibly guilty of this, but I've just realized that. Oh man, if you haven't watched Haikyuu, you should, because it is also, just like Chihayafuru, available for streaming on HIDIVE.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was just going to say, as much as I dislike the new girl, I feel like her inclusion did sort of progress the kind of romantic side of things, particularly with Taichi, because obviously with her interest, you kind of, it developed like a lot more his feelings towards Chihaya, and like I think propelled him to think about it more and maybe like do more about it. So I really liked, how she steered the kind of direction with Taichi in that season. So I appreciated her for that, at least.
Gives him a bit more motivation.
Yes.
Maybe that's why Tay is so far against her. Damn it, don't give him ideas.
Just let him be a quiet, shy little wallflower forever. Oh man. Cool, you brought up the antagonist a little before with Pseudo. Like, what do you think of the antagonists, the other teams that they show in Chihayafuru? Because I feel like they do a really good job of like fleshing them out, kind of, but not like too much. Like, they don't overdo it.
It's not overdone. It's not like sob story backstories for like everyone. I like how there's it feels like there's a nice balance between like sort of light-hearted, like comical characters and ones that are a little bit more serious. So I really like that, and diverse as well. Like, I love the team of foreigners.
Foreigners.
That's really funny.
So I really like that kind of the balance of it. I feel like it makes it really just super easy to sit down and watch. You don't feel like you're being hammed over the head saying like you have to feel sorry for this person. You're just enjoying them, and you might not love all of them, and I like that they're not afraid to have annoying ones or silly ones or whatever. I think it's really diverse and fun.
Resisting the urge to make more Haikyuu comparisons.
Oh no.
I already know what you want to say.
All right, we're gonna play a drinking game. Every time you make a Haikyuu reference, you have to take a shot. Oh man,
but yeah, I totally agree with all of that.
This. Mm-hmm.
And I like, again, it's been so long since season 2 happened and I started reading the manga. My lines are blurring on like when this trend starts happening. So this might be more of a season...
you already started the drinking game.
Yeah. This might be more of a season 3 thing as well when it comes more to the forefront, but like the sheer number of characters from like all over the place, all with their own story arcs that a lot of the time have very little, if anything, to do with like the main squad from Mitsuzawa, is something I really, really appreciate. Especially with a lot of the adults, like we said, the grandmother who Chihaya plays against once is an example. You just like, it shows you the huge range of like different sorts of people who play this game and the different ways that they think about Carta and the different positions that it occupies in all of their lives is really, really cool.
I also wanted to say a little bit with Tutu that, like, I love how fleshed out Pseudo's motivation are, how fleshed out Shinobu's motivations are, but like the silly ones are also great. Like the one captain who literally just wants to,
I know.
I really don't want to say it out loud, but he's just very motivated by his teacher.
Yeah.
Her body specifically.
Yeah, that guy fucks.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he does. I think that's
That's the problem.
That's the problem, Sinrus. And then like the other one who's just like a complete otaku, and like they're just like, what the hell is he doing right now?
I think that's one of like the strengths of the show is not just like the crazy variety of characters, but the stakes and the way each match is presented. Like, I think that's what makes the matches continue to be interesting. Like, you think about it and it's ultimately like this card game, and honestly, like, I thought I would be starting to get tired of like the premise by season 2, but they found a way to make each match feel like it brings something new and interesting to the table, whether they're introducing a new concept or whether they're introducing a new style of playing. Like, there's always something new added with every match, and it keeps the interest high.
Yeah. What do you guys think about the game itself? Because I know, like, kind of the Chihayafuru meme is it's like, oh, you'd never think you'd care about poetry slapping until you watch this show. But, like, were you interested in Carta going into it for the first time? Did you think, like, oh, this sounds like a really dumb premise, but I'll give it a shot because people say it's good?
I feel like the show does a really, really good job of making you interested in it. Because I was thinking about this actually, like, belatedly when we were comparing it to other sports anime, but a problem that I feel like I encounter a lot watching new sports anime, because I'm not like, I don't watch a lot of sports like IRL, so they really need to like tell me the rules, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to play baseball or whatever, so I feel like a big point of interest is like how they teach me the rules of the game, like how they make me understand how the game is played, and then also to make me care about it as well. And I feel like it was so comfortable. Like, I felt it was easy to really quickly understand what the game was, learn about it, and like how it's played. I feel like it was all really seamless. It all seemed to just fit with the story really well, and I honestly find it really hype, and I love the different ways in which they keep introducing sort of like new techniques and like everyone's different specialities, because there's just so much more to it than like meets the eye. Like, obviously you've got the hearing thing, but then you have Taichi with his memorization, and I just love how they keep building upon it, and I don't know, it just feels like endlessly interesting to me for some reason, and I think the show does a really good job of presenting it to the audience.
Yeah, I agree. Especially the ways that they introduce you to the different strategies in the game are really cool, because you would never guess how in-depth the mental aspect of the game is, aside from the memorization, but like the strategic positioning kind of things, if they don't point it out to you. Like the all of the card placement strategies and everything that they get into are wild.
I always love when Taichi's like going over which cards have been read out.
Oh my god, I love that.
Okay, this becomes a one-syllable card because this has already been read. I can now move on this one. And I'm just like, damn, that is cool.
Yo, like, I thought my memorization was pretty good, and then like I see Taichi, and then I'm like, oh my god, like it would be amazing to have this good of a memory.
Right.
God, I just love it so much. Yeah, for me, like I didn't know this, but like, so Korea, I guess, has like kind of a similar game where it's like drawings on these cards, and like it's played in a sequence, and like you have it in a hand, and like when a card comes, like when a small card that kind of looks like a card to card comes up, like you have to, like whoever throws down the right one first wins that round, and like you keep doing it like that. So like having grown up with a similar card game like that, Karta already was like kind of similar to me. And then, you know, being a huge poetry nut and a sports nut, I loved like everything about Karta. Just is really interesting, to the fact where I've watched a couple of Meiji and Queen matches on YouTube. There's this one YouTube channel, this YouTuber who just like posts the full like 1 hour, 2 hour matches every year. I think in August is when they're held. And it's really cool. And there was a Queen match in 2016? Or like it was 2013 or 2014. Where like the Chihayafuru card is red, and it's a dead card, so like no one moves, so there's a little bit of time for the commentators to like speak. And then they're like, oh, speaking of Chihayafuru, the Chihayafuru anime, you know, just wrapped up or just like had its second season. And it's like, you know, we're so thankful. Like, it's such a fun anime, and like really great to see like the popularity of Karate skyrocket because of the show.
Yeah. And that's a cool thing, that when the manga started publishing, there was like a noticeable turn up in viewership for professional Karate.
Resisting the urge to bring up Haikyuu. So.
Oh, no.
But yeah, it is cool to see that Karata is coming back up again, because, you know, I think it is really important for like communities to have, and like especially countries to have, and people to have things that they're really proud about, that they only have, because like it's important, like as the world becomes more flat, I think it's also important to like preserve tradition and preserve things that like you're really proud of. And like that fact that like Karuto is in that sense is like, and it's so unique, right? Like there really aren't many other games that combine like the like just incredibly important poetry for that nation, for that culture, and like preserving that in a card game, in a sport.
Yeah.
Like we don't really have that in the US. Like there's nothing really culturally significant about the game of American football besides the fact that, you know, like we continually send men to like suffer incredibly harmful injuries over and over and over again. And that's just kind of been what America's been all about. But Karuta like celebrates something that's like really beautiful in that, and I'm a huge football fan, so like that was a gross over exaggeration, but like, you know, with Karuta, like you just have that like beauty personified through their game. So I don't know, Karuta seems pretty cool. You like, I would definitely recommend like watching the matches, because they have like slow-mo too for when like the cards get
for like, the hand cams.
off.
Yeah, I've watched a little bit of them.
I've watched a little bit of them as well, and I'm kind of surprised at how like similar it does actually look to the show. Like obviously like there's differences, but they've definitely captured like the essence of how they move, and you can always tell when with like passionate shows like this how much research and how much love like the creators have for whatever it is they're writing about. You can just tell that whoever the author of Chihayafuru has a big love for Karuta. Also, I remember reading something about how, like, there was a queen who was, like, in high school and the defending queen for, like, years, and it just immediately made me think of Shinomiya. I'm like, is this just, like, real-life art here?
I always have to wonder how people who are playing at that level feel about it, especially, like, once it starts getting into, like, a more grand view of, like, the whole professional scene and, like, developments and, like, the way the professional scene like views itself and conducts itself towards like the more recent developments in the manga, whether that's like reflecting things that are really happening in the Karada community, because I know the author, I have to assume, must be like active in that community in real life, or whether it's how much of that is based on real events and how much is made up, because it's rare to get a series that so closely mirrors a like real like insular specific subculture that exists in real life.
It is really cool to see, and like the fact that it is so popular too. Yeah, I do wonder what they think of it. I hope they like it. I hope it does a good job. I'm sure that's a concern for the mangaka too.
I'm
like,
sure.
Yeah, that you always want to do right to the thing that you love, that you're trying to represent. And like, you know, the fact that I think the fact that like the commentator spoke of it so kindly and like would seem to indicate that there are largely positive feelings towards Chihayafuru in the Karata community.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, just like I remember also that like it's so cool too, like watching it and seeing like the queen who was chosen. I think like last year was the first time the woman who became queen. It was the first time that a mother had become a queen. Because usually like after having a child, like contestants don't come back in.
Right.
And they lose it. But she had been queen previously, had her child, continued to practice, and then won queen again. And it was just like a very awesome moment to see. And I was like, it is crazy to see just like the story. Like I can see why Karuta lent itself to this manga, to this anime, to this story, because like the plot lines that come out, especially when you have such a small, tight-knit community, are going to be always powerful and always really cool to see.
Agreed. Coolager Tutu, was there anything else you wanted to mention before we wrap up the episode?
I was just going to say, because I know Fate has been there as well, but actually...
Yes!
Oh, yeah.
Actually visiting Omijingu Mai is just...
Oh my gosh.
if you're ever in that area of Japan, like I couldn't recommend it highly enough. Because when I stayed in Kyoto, like we'd been to lots of the other like really big sort of shrines like Fushimi Inari and whatnot, but actually like that was our favorite one because it's out the way a bit, so it's actually
it's like 20 minutes by train.
Yeah, so it's like possible to get there, but like it's because it's away from the crowds, it's actually properly feels like you're visiting a shrine. Like it's really tranquil and beautiful, and all the staff
cool.
there just really love Chihayafuru, and if you say you're there for Chihaya, like they get so excited, and I feel like it's probably the only place in the world where you can buy Chihaya merch.
Oh my gosh, the little store in the
so
the
cute.
Omijingu Learning Center.
Yeah, I bought a little like Karuta card like keychain, so like but it's like lucky dip, so you can't choose the card you want, you just get a random one, and you can like
Can't escape the gotcha.
yeah, I know, my god. And you can sit at like Desk Tomo's desk and everything, and it's just
Oh, that's really funny.
it's just like amazing. I love it so much. And again, just what we were talking about with the community, it's just lovely to see them embrace the series so much, because I feel like especially with things that are like more niche and like more traditional, you know, people, there is potentially like a tendency for people to be like kind of snobbish about it and like, you know, not wanting to like associate like, you know, TV or like media with like something they take so seriously. But yeah, they were just really enthusiastic and just lovely. So yeah, I thought I'd mention that because it's definitely like an anime pilgrimage, like well worth taking for sure.
It's also a very cool historical site too,
Yes,
because
that's
it's
true.
where Japan first came up with laws in their nation. It was like the birthplace of the legal system. That they were like, "Hey, Emperor, we need to like come up with laws." And he was like, "What are laws?" And then they were like, "Well, there are gonna be some rules that people are gonna have to follow." So. But it's also, you know, the place where they have the Meiji and the Queen matches. Yeah, no, it's absolutely gorgeous. And like, while I think Fushimi Inari is really gorgeous, and Kiyomizu-dera as well, right?
Yes.
Like two huge temples in Kyoto, they are overrun with tourists.
It's
and of course, like I'm
insane.
part of the problem.
Yeah.
I'm like part of the problem. But like,
It does
you
take
can't
away a little
walk.
bit.
God, I hate all those other tourists
I'm not like one of those
doing
other
the exact
tourists.
same thing I am.
But you go to Omijingu and it's so quiet. Like you could
Beautiful.
hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
It is so quiet. It's like kind of a trek to get there too. So like when they're like, okay, you guys like we lost, we fucked up, we're gonna have to run to the train station. I'm like, oh man, like that is they're not joking around because it's all like up on a mountain too. So it's like yeah, it's crazy, but it's so beautiful. It's so nice. The people there are so sweet.
Yeah.
It's really gorgeous. just being able to be around there. And I found that's actually true of like other Japanese sites too. Like when I
Yeah,
went to
it's great.
the Tamako market, and like told them that I was there because of Tamako, like the people there were like super nice.
Yeah, I
and, like,
think we
showed
just
me around.
get like wrapped up in like the Western perception of anime that you just not sure what to expect. So it's
Yeah.
lovely
Right.
to
Yeah.
see such a like positive reaction.
So this episode was sponsored by the Japanese Bureau of Tourism.
Friends over in Japan. So yeah, and so I would highly recommend, because like if you're going to do a trip of Japan, you should probably hit up Kyoto, and it really is like a 20-minute train ride from Kyoto
Yeah.
to Omijingu. So
Yeah, I don't have quite the flex of going to Omijingu, but I mean I did go to Japan last year too, so there's that. The only Chihayafuru related thing I could think of for that was on the way out we were trying to spend the last of our yen, so we went to like a department store, and in the board game section I found a genuine deck of karate cards,
cool.
which I've taken home with
Lovely.
me.
very nice.
I'm not confident enough in my kanji skills to actually try and play, but they're a nice
Something to
little
aim
like
for.
shows. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's a good show set. Also wanted to ask everybody off the top of your head what your favorite scene is from the 2 seasons that we have so far.
What our favorite scene is?
Yeah.
That's a good
Or
question.
just scenes that
What
come to
comes
mind
to
that you
mind for
really
me
like.
immediately
What
is
comes
like
to mind?
Chihaya's birthday and the cake.
I
with
was just
Taiji.
thinking.
I was just gonna say the cake.
Yeah.
I guess we're in
Yeah.
agreement.
Yo, I even love
Iconic.
Arata with that cake scene.
Yeah.
Yo, I was thinking like, how do I preface the fact that I love Arata, but the first scene that comes to mind is the Taiji cake scene.
Amazing.
It's
That sounds about right.
I mean,
It's a really touching scene.
how, imagine being such a genius that you're able to come up with that scene.
Yeah.
Being like, how can I make this gorgeous hot boy even more hot and make so many more people fall in love with them? Like, just the creation of a Taiji is incredible, right?
True.
But like, you could just coast off that for a while. Like, you don't even like, he could just exist and he'd be super hot and popular. But she was like, no. I can't settle for just Taichi just being hot and popular. I need to show his like kind of aggressive side to it as well, in like a playful way. Oh my god. It is one hell of a scene.
How about then? What's all of your favorite matches that have been in the anime so far?
Wait, can it? Oh, it's the one where they have the Unmei-sen, the sun and death one. It happens so rarely that I'm sure you know which match I'm talking about.
Right. Oh, that was another one of my problems with season 2 is there's a sudden death like every match. It's like, okay, I get it. It's not exciting anymore.
Isn't it?
I love the point when, as you talked about, sometimes the characters compete against each other, and when Taichi and Mashima and Deskun and Kanade both have to compete against each other for like rank A and C, and Chihaya is just not sure which match to watch. She's like, who should I be focusing on here?
I love whenever like Taichi and Arata face off against each other, like
Yes.
because it's such like a main conflict of the series, and I don't know, so it always gets me the most emotional probably. So I love just their interactions in general, to be honest, but yeah, especially when that's heightened by a match, for sure.
I really like all of Taichi matches. I really like.
Yes.
Like the fisherman one where it's like Urano to, like the one at the very end where like he finally gets the Umei-sen to go his way. I like it finally works. And then I love how these all start celebrating, but Kana's like, no, the match isn't finished yet. You have to let the last card be right. Like, I really love that. I really, really love that.
Yeah,
moment.
that is a great moment.
I loved Arata joining the team and pretending to be someone else too.
Oh, that's fun.
Because like on one hand, it's like it is really cool to see like Arata, like the stoic, cold, stuck in his ivory tower guy, play with the team and like remember how much he loved being in a team. But I also love the one guy who was like walking around. He's like, this guy's playing just like Arata. That was really good. That would have been just what Arata did. And he's like, wait a second. Yeah. Like as much as like the close games are really fun too, I love the stomps.
Yeah,
where they just
stomps are fun.
The stomps are fun. It really, because like if every game is close, then you're like, oh, every game's supposed to be close. But the stomps are just like, oh yeah, like there's a clear divide in power between some of these people.
Mm-hmm.
And when Shinobu won,
75% of the stomps are just Shinobu just stomping everyone.
When Shinobu won by,
take a card.
Yeah. Oh god, Shinobu just stomped. And what was it like? Shinobu won by 25, and then it's like Arata won by 26.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they were just competing against each other indirectly.
And I was just like, wait a second. And they were like, wait, how did he win by 26? It's like, oh no, like there was a fault and he won, so he got an extra point.
This
I don't actually remember if this happens in the anime, but Suo does something similar.
I was just thinking about this.
He tries to match the queen match, the exact moves that are happening at the time. So he's like letting the opponent take cards when Shinobu loses cards, and it's just really silly.
Yeah.
Oh my god. What a
I love
sadistic
Suo.
person.
Suo is so good.
I will say I was sad because I watched the live action film with my mom because I was like, oh, this seems like something she would like, but probably doesn't want to watch 50 episodes. We'll watch the movies instead. If you thought Arata wasn't in the anime, boy.
Is he not in the movie at all?
He's like there in the opening scene in the flashback and like all the way at the very end. They win their high school tournament, and that's when Arata finds out that his father passed away. So like there's some reworking in the timeline as well, but he's like barely there.
Yeah.
But like Pseudo's there, and like they do the famous like, where's my gomenasai scene?
This is not something that actually happens in the manga, but something that someone in the manga mentions is like theoretically possible that I think is really funny. Is that so? The Queen match is a best of 5, but the Meijin match is a best of 7. And while men can't enter the Queen qualifiers, women could theoretically enter the Meijin qualifiers if they wanted to.
Right.
So it is theoretically possible for a woman to enter both, become the challenger in both sets, or like be the queen and then become the Meijin challenger as well.
That would be
win the
amazing.
first 2 games of the Queen match and become the queen, forfeiting in the process the first 2 games of the Meijin match, and then switch over and win the next 3 games of the Meijin match.
Wait, wouldn't it have to be first 3 and first 4 then?
Or
I thought you said it was best of 5 and 7.
Oh, I think it's 3 and
or
5.
3 and
yeah,
5,
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But because the Queen set is less games, you could win that.
Yeah.
And then forfeiting that many games,
Go
and
win
then
3.
switch
And
over
then-
and win the rest to become both.
And then just reverse sweep.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the flex.
yeah,
Can you
right.
imagine?
Right?
That is the ultimate flex.
Yeah.
I would love that. Shinobu could do it.
Shinobu could do it.
Unless Arata was the Meiji. Oh my god. Oh, that match was so great because it made it a very competitive, fun match, but also, like, in a sense, it also got rid of some of the importance of it because it was like, oh, Shinobu, like, you were sick. You weren't playing at 100%. So I can see why people would be like, like, I don't like it because the stakes aren't as important. But on the other hand, like, it still leaves room for Shinobu to, like, stomp people.
Right.
And it doesn't really weaken her.
Right. Yeah. You saying Shinobu could do it just reminded me, like, there's so many matchups that we still need to see in the manga, but the story is almost over, and I feel like we can't possibly get them all.
Yeah.
Shinobu Taichi? Oh my gosh. That would, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't think-
would love to see
I
that.
could be misremembering, but I don't think that match has ever happened.
I
Wow,
don't
way
know
to
it.
spoil,
Yeah,
Sinrus.
they just never are in the same tournament because they're
Oh yeah, because she's A rank. But Taichi's A rank now.
well, that's true. Well, I guess they're both technically in the high school tournaments, but then once they get into the professional stuff, like
Wow,
Yeah.
Sinrus.
She
I don't
spoiling,
remember them
spoiling.
she enters on the
Spoiling,
female side
la,
and
la,
he
la,
enters
la.
on the male side.
I can't hear you.
I don't even remember them having that much interaction
Yeah.
either. Like, they're kind of separate.
I know.
I know Taichi has way more interaction with
Suo, yeah.
than he does Shinobu.
What if the endgame ships are
No.
Taichi Shinobu and Arata Chihaya. Dude, you didn't even let me.
No.
You didn't even let me.
I knew what you were gonna say.
The
Trolling.
worst. I know.
My prediction
Can I
for
also-
the end of the series is that Taichi gets Chihaya, but Arata becomes Meijin.
I'd be
that's
happy
my
with
prediction for how it ends.
That sounds pretty, yeah.
My prediction is that Chihaya chooses Arata, Taichi becomes sad and alone, and it's a very sad thing. But he never, but it's like Arata, Chihaya, who become Queen and Meijin together, and it's amazing.
My prediction is that Chihaya just realizes that she's loved Karata all along, and Arata and Taichi have to settle for each other. And just live in the sadness knowing that they'll never have their first choice.
Wait, that sounds
together.
like the best ending, actually.
Yeah.
What if the real boyfriend was the Karata we played along the way? God. Can I also say that we mentioned this briefly, but the music for Chihayafuru is so freaking amazing. Like I get the ba 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 ba.
Yes, I've been trying to remember that riff this entire episode. It's so good. It's so good.
It's like such a great, what is it, leitmotif?
Yeah.
Motif?
Yeah, leitmotif, yeah.
The leitmotif that is like present in everything, and like they do it in like the hype moments, they do it in the sad moments, like the sad moments are literally just that, but like super
Just a
slow.
sad
That's true.
and yet you never once get bored of it. Like it never feels like it's being
Every
overdone.
time it comes in, chills.
Yeah.
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 All right. On that note,
it's so good. On that literal note.
on that literal note, I think we've exhausted subjects to talk about.
This is true. But hey, we haven't exhausted everything to talk about now, have we, Sinrus?
We have not, because we still have to shill our sponsors. Unfortunately,
wah.
unfortunately, we are not actually sponsored by the Japanese Tourism Bureau, but our real sponsors are almost as good. We have, as usual, HIDIVE and Sentai Filmworks, who are so absurdly generous to us that we are doing yet another giveaway courtesy of them. We have 2 Blu-ray box sets for Chihayafuru Season 1, which I believe Tay currently has with him, and he assures me that they are very, very attractive.
Yes. Okay. So full disclosure, the reason we have 2 Blu-ray box sets is because they were super kind and they were like, here's one to give away and here's one for you guys to keep because we love you guys so much. And I was like, well, fuck. I already own a Season 1 Blu-ray box set. So we were like, fuck it. We'll give that one away too because more people deserve to have it. Because first of all, the actual Blu-ray box set is absolutely gorgeous. It uses, I believe it's like a color page or I think it's a color page by the actual mangaka. So it has like everyone from Mizusawa, and then it has Shinobu and Arata at the back, and it's absolutely gorgeous and lovely. It has the Season 1 Blu-ray has all 26 episodes of the first season, plus a couple of extras in both subbed and dubbed, and it has this really handy guide that has like a bunch of the Japanese phrases and what they mean.
That's
like,
really
it's
cool.
a Karuta glossary. So it has like long shot cards, which is Oyama Fuda, cards that start with the same 5 syllables. There are 3 sets of 2 long shot cards for a total of 6. The Japanese term means big mountain cards. So if like you're a gigantic freaking nerd like I am, and you probably are because you're listening to the podcast, you'd be like, oh wow, that's kind of cool to like see all that. And then like the Season 1 booklet also has like every episode, and it has all the poems that are, or like the poems that are most prominent in that episode. So like it has the Nani wa zuni sakuya kono hana fuyu go mori ima wa haru beto sakuya kono hana from the first episode, but it has like all of them. So it has all of them divided, and it has the translations below that, and it has like a little note. So it's like the poem Chihaya reads when she hears that Taichi isn't playing Karuta. The first card Ara took when he played Chihaya for the first time. So it has like all these little fun little details in the booklet as well. And it has, I believe, oh yes, hold on. It has a bunch of other cool extras like a postcard. It has the, God, what's the guy with the bob cuts name? Like the bowl cuts name?
Horo?
Yeah, it has his like little tarot cards.
Are you serious?
It has the tarot cards, and on the back of every tarot card, it has the character bios from characters in the show. So like one of them is like Tsutomu Komano Dextomu, and like it says like what society is in, and like them in a nutshell, their description. And then it has like these really gorgeous like larger size Karuta cards that are like kind of postcard sized. And like on the front it says Chihayafuru, and like on the back it says even when the gods ruled over all creation. And like it looks really cool and gorgeous. So you can have these 2 Blu-ray box sets, which retail at over $100 each, which is absolutely absurd that you could just get them for free. And Sinrus, how can people get one of 2 of these beautiful limited edition season 1 Blu-ray box sets, which are, I believe, now out of print and / no longer printing?
Well, Taylor, it's very simple. All they have to do is follow us, Sentai Filmworks, and HIDIVE Official on Twitter. Retweet the pinned tweet, which will be there with the link to this episode for an entry. And then you can get a second entry by subscribing and commenting here on YouTube.
That's crazy. So people can have 2 entries to win one of these 2 amazing Blu-ray box sets from Sentai Filmworks?
That's absolutely the case.
That's crazy.
Theoretically, I suppose you could win both of them, but we would probably not let that actually happen.
This is true, but it could happen. So just, just for if it does happen, we'll like send you something else with it, Sure. Like, I don't know. I have some Chihayafuru goods here and there from Japan. We'll send you that instead.
Yeah.
So that's why you should sign up for both entries. Just because. And also, in case, you want to watch Chihayafuru, but you don't win the Blu-ray box set, you can always buy it too off Sentai Filmworks on their shop. Or if you just want to watch it, you could stream it on HIDIVE, which is available at hidive.com on your iOS and Android apps, on the Xbox One, and recently on the Roku. It's an anime streaming service with hundreds of anime from classics to airings available, including dubcasts and even home video versions of anime as well. And if you sign up using the link below in the description, you don't get a month for half off. You get a month completely free. An entire month of free HD streaming anime like Chihayafuru. All you have to do is sign up with the link below, and it's www.hidive.com/LP/RAP2019. Yes, we're a rap podcast now. So yeah, make sure to dive into HIDIVE and dive into some Chihayafuru, because it's pretty freaking amazing.
Sure is. Tutu Cooliger, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me.
And everyone, thank you so much for listening to this episode. We hope you all enjoy Season 3 of Chihayafuru as much as I expect to. Yay.
Yay, Splash 3.
No more Splash 3.
No, Splash 3, because it's the 3rd season.
All right, we're done here.